What's up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. Join the tribe. Click on tribes. That's how we do it here. And if you're returning, thank you guys for tuning in. Basically, today's video will be covering the Chevening application. We're continuing with the series that I started a few weeks ago. So if you haven't watched the previous videos that I've done on this series, on the application series, please check the suggestion right up on the screen and go to that video before you watch this video, because that will help you understand what we are trying to talk about on this particular video. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, drop all your questions down below, and also share these videos with some of your friends or your family members who are applying for the scholarship. I think it will be very, very helpful. So today we'll be covering the last two essay questions, and of course I've been doing an overview of how to attempt the essay questions. I haven't really delved into detail, and that's because there's so many aspects and nuances to each approach. So I will not go into too much detail on those essays, but if you have specific questions on any of the videos that I've done, or any of the essay questions, either leadership, networking, why the UK, the course that you want to study, and also the university, please drop those questions here, and I will attempt to answer to those questions in my next video. The last two questions are why you want to study in the UK, and also what course do you want to study and what university you want to go to. So for these specific questions, I'm basically explaining to you my personal approach of how I attempted. Why is my mom sending me pictures? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, sorry about that. So the last two questions. So firstly, the why you want to study in the UK. I think with that one, you can basically just go read up on, if you're not familiar with the UK, you can go read up about the country. But let me quickly open mine, and I'm just gonna give you an example of how I attempted that question. Let me see, Chevening. Okay, Chevening, there we go. Okay, so the last two questions are studying in the UK. So basically that incorporates the university you want to study at, the course that you want to do, and there's a bit of explanation also there about why you want to go to the UK to study instead of a different country. And then the last one will be your career plan. So your career plan basically covers what you want to do upon completing your master's degree. So for the studying in the UK essay, so basically what I explained, if you had watched my previous videos, I did explain that I went to LSE. Last year I went to LSE for summer school, and the reason for that, I wanted to prepare myself if ever I decided to go study in the UK, if it's a country that I would love or like to live in for a whole year, and if I think I could manage their standard of education, that side. So that experience really helped me to shape my decision and helped me as I was writing my studying in the UK essay. So basically what I did is that I was very straightforward. In the beginning I said, these are the three institutions that I consider would be great for my learning. I said that LSE was my first option because, of course, this is an institution that I've always wanted to go to. I wanted to go do my master's in economics there, and because I went to summer school and I experienced how they run things, and I experienced the city of London as well, I thought it would be a great institution for me. So that's what I said in my first line. But also take note that this is not what I finally submitted to Chevening, and the reason I didn't do that is because, and the reason I always emphasize that take your time in writing your essays, is that as I was thinking deeply about what exactly I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve, and I think that is what's very important, what you want to achieve with whatever you're going to do. If you just want to do a master's and get another master's, great, maybe it's different. But my priority was that I want to study something that would contribute to the body of knowledge currently, and just bring a new perspective on already existing disciplines. And I realized that taking a whole economics master's degree and doing it for 1 year, I wouldn't get everything, or I wouldn't get as much as I would get if I decided to specialize. So I thought, no, man, I think I need to go specialize. I need to do something that is more niche, that is more focused, because I don't have enough time to complete or to discover knowledge. So I think I need to just be more focused, and that's why I ended up choosing to study an economics of monetary and financial policy at the University of Nottingham. So be very clear. I think the first thing, before you can even decide what institution you want to go to, be very clear about what you want to study and what does studying that particular degree or that particular master's program mean to you. And then everything else should become easy, because after you're done doing that exercise of what you want to study and why you want to study that, then you go online and search for institutions that are good at that particular study. So for instance, for me, Nottingham came up in the list on anything that had to do with monetary policy. There aren't many institutions that are focusing straight on monetary policy. A lot of them do banking regulation. I remember Bristol does banking regulation, but then that is also too focused. I wanted to just do something that is focused but more open. I don't know if I'm making sense. So it's easy to decide what institution once you decide, or once you reflect or decide what exactly you want to study and what it means. Yeah, so that's what I said. And also in explaining what I wanted to study and what that study meant, I also linked it to what I'm doing currently. So of course, not all of you will go study something that is related to what you want to do. Maybe you want to change paths, or maybe you have a new inspiration, or you want to embark on a new discovery. That would be a totally different case for you. But for me, I explained why I was in corporate, I explained why I was working in banking, and how does that link to the degree that I want to study. But more than that, how does that translate into what I want to do in the future? And as I said in the previous video, the leadership and networking essays for me, those two essays for me are linked, because after speaking about how I navigated my leadership positions or my leadership influence, I also spoke about how that translated into me building relationship and being able to leverage from those relationships and maintain them. So for the last two essays, which is starting in the UK and also your career plan, I think there's also a link there, because you're going to say, for instance, I want to go study at the University of Nottingham because they're one of the few schools that offer an MSc that specifically focuses on monetary policy. The work that they've done previously, and I believe that me being part of that department and being part of that network will help me in discovering knowledge, or will help me in my path as an monetary economist in the future. So basically link that. The biggest regulatory body for financial institutions are central banks. So, and central banks focus on monetary policy. So do you see how that links? You say, I worked in a bank because I wanted to see how policy trickles down at an operational level. And now that I have that knowledge, it has shaped my interest on how do I now shape regulation that it is beneficial and it is enabling for financial institutions instead of hampering. So I think that was my approach. again, when you know why you want to study something, then it becomes easy for you to write the last essay about your career plan. You might not exactly know what institutions you want to be part of, but you can have an idea of what kind of institutions and what kind of cases going into the future you want to work on. So for me, I did mention that after completing, I want to return to the country and I want to work in the consulting space. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to gain some strategic consulting skills, problem solving skills, that working under pressure, brainstorming and just working with big cases. That's what I really wanted. I really want to gain at a management consulting space. But then I also said that that is only for a short while. After that, I want to move into regulation. So I want to work for the Central Reserve Bank of South Africa, for instance. And these are just examples that I'm giving to you. I think also be convincing in your passions, because the next person doesn't really know you. So the only opportunity you have to tell them about what you're passionate about is in your essays, and if you're fortunate enough, the little time you have in the interviews is almost like a systematic way in how you should approach this. So obviously what you put down on your essays will be different from the next person, but there's always a pause and reflect, like a pause and reflect moment for each and every person to say, hang on, I want to go do a master's in development economics. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for my country? What does that mean for what I want to do in the future? How do I see that translating into the spaces that I want to be part of going to the future? And then how do I use the network that Chevening provides for me to thrive? The network that the universities in the UK provide for you to thrive. That's another element of that, to say, why do you want to go study in the UK? Because in South Africa, usually in South African university, the students that you find are from other African countries. So I'll find students from Zimbabwe, I'll find students from Kenya, students from Tanzania, students from Nigeria, like that. But when you go to a global institution at a first world country, you are able to meet people from a bigger scope of countries than you would in your domestic country, more especially when you are from Africa. So if you're from Africa and you're watching, guys, that is another angle that you can take. There is a greater network there. I met people from Tunisia, I met people from Hong Kong, I met a good friend of mine, Kate, from Denmark, and I'll be visiting her somewhere in December. So there is a huge benefit if you go study abroad than when you study in your own country, more especially this side. Nothing wrong about being from Africa. Africa is great, but it's to say that if we're going to open ourselves up for greater opportunities, greater collaboration as well, then we need to leave the place that we are comfortable with to go see what the world has to offer out there. Guys, that's it for me. Make sure that you do reflect. I'm very big on that. I personally don't do anything that I haven't thought through. I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about. Every single thing that I do, I put my energy where it matters. So I just hope that you guys will really think why you want the issue. I wanted the scholarship so bad that I didn't apply for an alternative scholarship, because for me it was greater than the funding. It was greater than them giving me money to go study abroad. It was more of the network. It was more of the interaction and the benefit of having a large, diverse group of individuals that I can form long-term relationships with, working relationships and personal. So I hope you are in this for the long haul, and if you are that individual, I really hope you make it, because this scholarship is for people like you, people who are passionate about their countries, people are passionate about leadership, but leadership that is impactful, not just leadership that is only meant for us, where it's just about your status and you getting positions, but leadership that is impactful, leadership that is going to transform society, and yeah, for the greater good, really. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and sorry that I delayed this video, and I hope that it did help. If you do have questions, I will be able to address them soon. I will also try to respond to you guys as frequently as possible. Okay, please follow me on Instagram, and what I am going to do on Instagram, I'll put up a Chevening question box on my story starting from next week, and you can drop all your questions there so that I'm able to address them, because I think maybe it's going to be easy to do it that way. If you have Instagram, please go to Instagram and search for @Mnyeketi. It's down on your screen. Do follow me and I'll put it up. If you don't happen to see the story, you can still DM me. I will check those DMs and I'll be able to address those questions. Yeah, all the best.